through the magic of the Cybernet Space Cube, the computer-enhanced podcast of the future. Transformers Slag Podcast.
What up, everybody? How we all doing this Saturday night? It's a Transformers Slag Podcast, our live stream main event. Your host, Proto Man. I'm the voice you should have heard Monday to Friday. Yeah, it was a interesting week, to say the least. We covered the news early in the week, and then some stuff behind the scenes was like, hey, we need you to kind of be media quiet over the next couple of days because there's a big announcement that's going to be dropping on a certain day. We will be posting that here for those who missed. Something that I've been lightly working on behind the scenes also, which I can't really talk too much about because it is super advanced. I did not expect the reveal to happen this early. They don't tell me nothing about reveals. Comic stuff, nothing. Like sometimes people see stuff before I do, you know? But yeah. So how we all doing? It's crazy. We can get back to our normal schedule now on Monday, but needless to say, if you notice on my socials and on the podcast, we had to kind of lay low for a couple of days. But how we all doing? Who do we got in the chat today? Ashnud, how you doing? MTG love as always. Rudy Mac, loving the Earthspark rant. Oh, hey man, I call it as it is. Let me tell you, like, Earthspark's not going to age well. That's all I'll say, pretty much. I'm pretty much done with Earthspark, although I'm probably going to talk about something that I opened up today. But regardless of the fact, Mikey and Louie will be talking about you soon enough. We got Patrick Brown. How you doing? The TFCon twins. What's up? What's up? I guess you're using a new account, not Twins Corner anymore. We got Dark Angel. How you doing? From the Philippines. Who else do we got? We got Horned Owl. Sorry if I'm slowly trying to scroll through. Bigum. Rudy Mac I got. Patrick I got. Who am I missing? Star Warrior from SDCC. How you doing? Navio. Ylag Y. What's up? Watching from the road. Very cool. More people slowly coming in now. But yeah, so what's up, Larry? So we got a few things to cover. Not much in terms of news, little things here and there. And then we'll just kind of chill and relax this evening, just kind of talk about this and that. Little bit of a unexpected reveal that happened over the past couple of days that had me having to go media silent for a bit. We'll get into that because I have permission to actually play it. So, but let's talk about the news first. So let's start first, of course, with this bad boy. So Nate from Hasbro's marketing team, he heard the chatter. He heard the questioning. He heard the, what's going on here? And luckily for us, we have someone like Nate who listens to the podcast. What's up, Nate? And was like, you know what? I'm going to take some photos and put it on my Instagram and show people that this does actually exist. And so we got to see that our Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class Armada Sideways does indeed have the head swap gimmick. It's quite fascinating that both the packaging and the product description makes no mention of it. So let that be a note in the future of who is in charge of doing that, because when you make an effort to do that kind of stuff to feature on the product, it probably should be featured on the product. I mean, people used to joke about it back in Legacy Evolution, where you'd have the evolution mode, and it would be like, oh, he's holding the gun, or evolution mode, and it's like the guns combine, and yet like on the back of the packaging, something like this was not featured at all, when they were like desperate for showing off features at Legacy Evolution. So either way, I'm glad that it's there. I'm excited about this. It's very nice. It's nice to have articulation on this guy, to have the faction swap gimmick. I love Sideways as a character. The only negative is just the price point. But you know how I am with that? Like, it's just something where I've lived in this hobby so long through inflations and recessions and price fixes and the increase of plastic costs and stuff, which I could get that too, if you could give the argument of plastic costs increasing. But it is something where at the end of the day, I feel this doesn't have to be a Voyager price point. It's just the world we live in today, unfortunately. And I'll find a way to get this without having to pay Canadian MSRP. It's just how it is, unfortunately. But it does look great. It looks fantastic. It's not shown here in this image. Actually, hold on. Wait a minute. I got this one here. It's got the little baton slash, wrist blaster slash, exhaust ports. It makes the combination rook and crosswise make mirror. Everything's going on there. It looks great. But I also remember, it's crazy, 20 years ago. Ugh, I'm so old. I'm so old. But 20 years ago, picking up off the shelves, I think I got it at Zeller's, if I have to remember correctly, which is our version of Target back in the day. But I think I got it from Zeller's. I bought the original Sideways off of the shelves. Canadian MSRP, which at the time was $12.99 Canadian, $10 or $9.99 USD. And man, you got a sticker, you got a comic book, you got the Minicons, you got the whole 9 yards. And man, the plastic that was used on the old the old Armada plastics. I mean, you want to talk about the nightmare, like, Hasbro wants to get rid of, the little bubble and everything on the inside here. If modern Hasbro would have saw Armada packaging back in the day, they would have had a heart attack at the amount of plastic that was being wasted. The extra layers and the weird size and all of that. And they were able to charge $9.99. And granted, again, it was 20 years ago. It was a different world, but I mean, when you look at inflation and stuff, it just doesn't balance. But again, I'm a money guy, and I don't want to go into the big money rants and finance and the way the world is and the costs and, buying power of your dollar and stuff. I'm not going to get into that rant today, but at the end of the day, we'll talk about the product. And I think that the product looks great, even if it's a Voyager. At that what is it now, Voyager's $43.99, is it? Something like that. Oh boy. That's like what? That's like 55 Canadian. I can't wait to pick this up and put it next to my original. Actually, I have two of them, oddly enough. Probably should have taken a nice photo of them because I have a nice shot of them. One moment. Let me take a nice photo for you guys of these boys. Go. One sec. So there's my Unicron on display there, and then we'll zoom in, and you can see I have the Japanese and the American version of Sideways there, standing in front of Unicron. The only difference is a slight hue of purple. If you notice, like one motorcycle is slightly different than the other. And I can't wait to take a photo of all of them together. Because there's, the sad thing is this character, as important as he was in the show, he got very little product. Very little product. He got a couple of PVCs and he got this, and that was it. The original. And now he has this, so that's kind of cool, at least, that he's getting some more. Always getting some more. Roman, what's up? What's up, Roman? But yeah, it's it is what it is. Again, I always feel that patience pays off with this kind of stuff. Every year there's really cool Transformer product that comes out. The stuff that's like a must get for me, like it's like, okay, I want to own it with the box and I want to have the packaging because I love the packaging and it's one of my top tier characters. I'll go out of my way to get those. But in general, I'm a completist, and if I was a completist buying everything at full MSRP, I would be broke. I would not be able to afford any life situation. It used to be a reality. You used to be able to do that back in the day. I used to joke about it. I mean, I used to work at Burger King and be a Transformer completist. And when you were like working at Burger King during Energon, like you had Energon, you like here's what I was buying completist at that time on a Burger King salary working the drive-through. I was buying every Energon product, every single commemorative product, every single alternator product, every single universe 2.1.0, excuse me, product. I was buying 4 different lines, and at the time, Masterpiece had just come out, so that was like the one expensive high ticket item at the time. I was collecting everything, and I was able to do it on a Burger King salary. Now, granted, I also lived with my parents, so I didn't have as much expenses back then, but I still had a car. I still had a flip phone that was doing pay as you go. So, granted, I didn't have streaming services and other stuff I had to worry about, but I still had an internet I had to pay for. So, it's kind of crazy today how expensive stuff has gotten. And being a completist is absolutely impossible now. Like, even if I what's crazy is if I still lived with my parents and had the salary that I have as a mechanic today, it would still be crazy. Like, it would be crazy, like buying a full wave of everything. It would be like 4 deluxes at Canadian MSRP, which that's a whole other conversation. You guys would cringe at what to buy an entire wave would be like $500 when it's all said and done. It would be like $500 easily, easily. And that's crazy when you think about what a week's wage would be for any person. So it's nuts. T-Formers 2002, welcome to the Minicon recruits. Um, I also want to announce too, I forgot to mention this, we're going to be doing a giveaway today. We have a couple days till the holidays, and Bin Studios, who does the sponsorship with the giveaway, we want to do a giveaway again. And we love doing a giveaway to my patrons and my YouTube members and stuff. And I totally forgot to, one moment, I have to get a sheet of paper because I'm going to have to write down whoever wins just in case. And I didn't plan ahead for that. One moment. Gotta plan ahead. One moment. Didn't think to do that. But yeah, we're going to do a giveaway today also to my patrons and YouTube members. A bunch of really good stuff. We'll get to that later today. So I forgot to mention that too. Everything's been last second, been very busy with, again, behind the scenes stuff. So we'll see what's popping with that. What's up, Will Murphy? T-Formers 2000. Hey, seemed like having an issue with my membership renewal, but we're good now. Again, YouTube's been weird. YouTube's been weird the past couple of weeks. I've been trying to figure out some of the new stuff that they added for YouTube membership, and I'm still trying to tool all of that out, get some new icons and everything. TFCon Twins with the super chat for $6.99, or maybe just $6.9. He knows what's up. Walked into the store closing Toys R Us today. Oh yeah, man, I'm with you there. I'll talk about that in a moment. Closing Toys R Us today. Missed those good old days buying Energon Cybertron figures. So sad to see nostalgia hit hard. Yeah, man, I'm with you there. So I mean, the Toys R Us here in Montreal, that was the very first Toys R Us in Montreal. That was like one of the first ones that got shut down for us. And then we had like 4 left on the entire, like we'll call it the greater Montreal area, because we have the island of Montreal, and then we have like the outskirts of the island of Montreal. Kind of like if you have New York City, and then you have like Jersey and Hoboken and some of the other areas. So all that's left on the island of Montreal was 4 Toys R Us's. Now 2 of those are going to be closing soon. So the closest Toys R Us for me is going to be a 45-minute drive if traffic is good. So that's going to suck. Like, that's going to really suck. They're shutting them all down. They clearly are not doing well during the holidays. Like, no one's buying. So I mean, all these Americans are like, "Oh, Canada's so lucky they have Toys R Us." Dude, it wasn't going to last. It wasn't going to last. The writing has been on the wall for a while now, and it's a shame. Every time I go into Toys R Us, I walk in there and I look and I go, "Huh, 3 people on cash. There's probably a manager lingering around somewhere, and this place is empty. And it's huge. So you got to heat it in Canadian winter. Forget about that. Just the heating alone would be crazy. And then you got 4 people that are like cashiers or stock boys, and then a manager kicking around somewhere. By the end of the day, all of that labor alone just eats into any losses, no matter how many toys are bought. And there isn't many toys being bought, unfortunately. Again, the prices are pretty crazy too. So, pretty crazy. James, what's up? What's up? Also, YouTube member. Have you heard about what mainline 28 Titan is? I have a stinking suspicion, which I can't talk about right now. Something that was discussed at San Diego. Stay tuned for that. When will that probably be announced? When will they want to announce that? Jeez, the next Titan. Huh. When was the last time they announced? When did they announce Grimlock? Was that at San Diego also? Hmm. I think Grimlock was at San Diego, so they might announce the next one at San Diego also. So, but you'll see. You'll be very happy with it. Let's put it that way. That's all I can say. Mikey and Louie, we haven't seen Toys R Us in years here. All dead. Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing too is that Toys R Us's in Canada have never been really that great anyways. I rather have like if I could bring back from the dead anything, it would always be KB Toys. Because KB Toys was one of those things, and granted, the reason why KB Toys doesn't exist is why I loved it so much, which is KB Toys was so irresponsible with their spacing because they were always located in malls and they just didn't have the space to have all this product. But because the toy industry was always pumping out new products, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, that stuff was just constantly going on sale because they didn't have space for it. Like stuff would bleed out into the, I guess we'll call it the walkway of the mall because they just had so much product. And it was great because as someone who was a Canadian that would go to Plattsburgh, New York, 3 times a year, go visit, there'd always be like, oh, here's this like product that's like 6 months old now and it's like 50% off. Oh, and it's like buy one, get one free, or it's buy one and get this VHS or something. Like there was all these great deals. And that's what I loved about KB Toys as a kid who didn't have a lot of money. Man, like, oh, these Mortal Kombat figures are $1.99. I'd be stupid not to buy them. He was just, that's literally how it was back then. Yeah, thank you. Thank you about the Initial D jacket. It's got the Fujiwara Tofu Shop on there. You got Initial D on that side, and then on the back, bam. Initial D is life. Initial D is everything. I lived that life quite a long time ago. But yeah, KB was where it was at, but that's also what killed it was because they were not making money. And they were just constantly not making money over a span of like 15 years, where it got to a point where they're just like, we can't do this anymore. Like they were doing very well in like the early to mid 90s, but then production of stuff, Power of the Force 2.0 came out, Star Wars, boom, boom, boom. They just couldn't keep up. And it was just like, oh, here's a new case of Transformers, and then another palette of this and that. And I mean, they had to like get rid of their board game section because there was just too much doll product that was coming out. You walk into it, they had 3 aisles if they were lucky. 3 aisles of stuff that they could pack as much as they can. And they also had video games. Like it was nuts. It was fantastic for us, but bad for them as a business. But I would bring them back from the dead if I could, for them to only probably fail all over again. Oh man, good stuff. Good stuff. But yeah, so there's that, going into what we were saying with the sideways. But we also have more Blockies news. So celebrating, so it's going to be the year of the horse next year. And I've only just learned all these years. Apparently, so every 6 years or something, it's not only, so you have like the year of, which rotates every 12 years. And then you have also an element. So it's going to be the year of the horse, but the year of the fire horse, because apparently it's fire, metal, water, earth. Help me out here. I'm not Asian. I'm just pretending to be one. What are the other two? But so it's going to be the fire horse this year, and we're going to be getting the year of the fire horse special Blockies edition Dinobots, along with some other gold members too of a Defenders, Optimus, Wheeljack, and Skywarp. I know it's a gold one here. You might as well call it a gold Sunstorm, but they label it as Skywarp here. And so these are also going to be available. These are going to be exclusive for Chinese New Year. So pretty cool. Yeah, you might be right. Rodimus Supreme Air. I don't know. I forget what the other ones were. I was schooled about this just recently. And it's pretty cool too, because like a fire horse is like Nightmare from Magic the Gathering, which is like a flaming horse. I think that's pretty cool too. But we don't have many horses in Transformers. We only have the one from Beast Wars Neo, and he's not on fire. So maybe in the future. But either way, either way, looks very cool though. I dig these and nice little chrome metallic look. The Optimus in gold, which almost kind of looks like the yellow Ultra Magnus. And then you got a very interesting looking wheeljack. Nice little set. I think it's kind of just there to represent, SOS Dinobots. And, again, Skywarp was in that episode. So I guess they kind of wanted to just include a Seeker mold too, just to kind of round it out. And it could be just any Seeker you really want, anyways, in your mind. But very, very cool. I dig that. Maybe I'll get a gold slag for the podcast or something. Put it in the back there with the Symbiote Studios one. That'd be kind of cool, that. But very nice. So these are going to be coming out for Chinese New Year. No release date yet. They're sold in cases, as you see, but they are identifiable, these cases. Nothing is blind packed. You get the full set. Nice little gift for Chinese New Year's. And there you go. So it's 5 Chinese elements. Thank you for schooling me, people. I don't know this stuff. I try to bring it. I try to bring it for knowledge. People are like, no, it is wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. It's almost all the Captain Planet stuff because you have earth, fire, wind, water, and heart. No heart in that case. No one wants to be Mati, I guess. Yeah, it could be Golden Lagoon figures too. It's true. It's true. But again, I know what they're trying to do. It's gold because it's like, oh, it's Chinese New Year, and Chinese New Year has giving away of the money with the Li Si and all of that. So there's all that goodness going on. So very, very cool. I dig it. And we also have joining, of course, these guys that we talked about last week. So man, oh man, I can't wait for Beast Wars Blockies. That's gonna be so hype. I literally had to stop myself. I was at a hobby shop last week. I was just looking for penny sleeves and stuff for trading cards. So I went into this hobby shop to just kind of look at their prices, and they have like obviously a wall of Funko Pop, and they had the Beast Wars ones. And I swear I must have been looking a hole through the Megatron one, just going like, if it was $5, I probably would have bought it, just because it's Beast Wars. Oh, even if it's Funko Pop, it's just like, oh, just the Beast, just the Megatron I would have got. But Blockies will make me definitely happy, because if we're getting more Beast Wars and Blockies, sign me up. Sign me up. Good old purple dinosaur. Good old Barney bot. Absolutely great. So that's cool. Very awesome stuff. And then, of course, I didn't talk about this last week, but I forgot to mention it. This was from JT Prime 17. And the next wave, apparently, of Hot Wheels crossover Transformers, as in the ones that actually do transform. So there's going to be a wave 2, and apparently it's going to be based on the El Segundo, or the El Segundo, and the GT Scorcher. Now, I was told by JT Prime 17 that the El Segundo, the reason why they picked that one is because it's actually named after the original head office of Mattel in El Segundo, California, assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly. So that's kind of the big reason why they picked that one. The other one is it looks like Wheeljack, but when you see what that car looks like in real life, it's not exactly the Lancia, but it does give a very similar vibe to it. So I'm kind of curious how that's going to roll out. But two Hot Wheels products that are inspired by real life vehicles. Neither of them are licensed vehicles. One of them's it's a Porsche, but it's kind of a Datsun, but it's kind of like, a 350Z, Nissan. So it is what it is. And then the other ones, it's kind of a Group 5 Lancia, but not really, because it's more long like a old time a Daytona car from back in the day, and the stock vehicles. If you kind of see, if you saw this, like, ignore the package art, if you saw the actual Hot Wheel itself elongated. But that's happening. And then supposedly they're going to be doing another Twin Mill recolor, because Twin Mill is very popular. Again, I'm not big on Hot Wheels, so I don't know everything. That's my father's department with the diecast stuff. But apparently we're getting another wave of these, even though the first wave hasn't even hit yet. So very interesting. Stay tuned for that. We'll learn more about it when it comes. But Something's looking very wheeljacky in that one. Mikey Lou, maybe we won't need custom Beast Wars Silver Bullet blockies we made. Well, you made a custom one. Well, what did you make that out of? Like, was there previously existing blockies that had wolves and wings? Maybe from the Saint Seiya stuff, you could probably pull that. James says, never thought I would hear you be tempted by a Funko Pop. Well, I mean, I have the Proto Man one, and I have the Bret Hart one, so there's a few Funkos that do exist in this house strictly because of me. There's Funkos that are in this house because of her too. Anything she's ever cosplayed, she has a Funko Pop of. So she has like a tower of all the Funko Pops of stuff she's cosplayed. So she likes to own those because she's not going to spend like tons of money on, I don't know, like a Hot Toys or something, but she'll buy a Funko, which is what really it's targeted at. It's targeted more at casual collectors like her as opposed to hardcore collectors like me. First wave is already out. Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't see anything here in Canada. So I love my Twin Wheel Easy in my top 10, but I'm biased. Oh, it's really good too. Well then. Well then. I did not know how good it was then. They looked cool. They give me an alternators vibe, which always is going to speak to me because I love alternators. Like that was a Transformer series I like went out of my way to complete because I loved it so much. 3D printed all the parts. Oh, okay. That's what I was figuring because I'm like, I wonder what you could have used to customize it. Well, they'll probably, I imagine, if it's in the Defenders line, they'll probably do like 50% of them will be robot modes, 50% of them will be beast modes. What would be really cool, be a bit of a deep cut, but if they did beast modes that combined to make Magna Boss or like Tripredicus, that'd be really cool if they pulled that off. Bring back those boys. Haven't seen them get an update in any shape or form. Mind you, that would give you the wrong Silverbolt, or Skywarp as he was called in Japan. But yeah, still very cool though. Still very cool. So digging these. I want to see how they turn out. But again, the big takeaway from this is that it's a nod to the Mattel HQ. I wonder if Hasbro knows that that it's like, imagine if like Mattel made like a I don't know, a Barbie doll or a He-Man toy and called it Rhode Island or something. It's kind of like funny how that goes down. But yep, there's that. And that's it more or less for the news. It's pretty tame this week. But we also have this reveal of why we kind of had to keep it quiet this week. So I was kind of asked to take it easy on the social media just leading up to something, just in case. And it wasn't just me. They wanted to make sure nobody talks, nobody suggests anything because of this.
The world needs you again.
Of that whistle, that Proto Man whistle. So this is going to be coming out in 2027. A lot of people were asking why 2027, why so far away. This is an anniversary item. This is to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Mega Man, which was 1987 when it came out in Japan as Rokuman. So this is going to be an anniversary item. I can't talk about anything about this. Zero. I didn't even expect this to be announced this early. But stay tuned for that. 2026 is going to have a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Between, gosh, what can I talk about? So there's my comic that's going to be starting in January. Here's how it's going to go down, guys. So in January 7th, 2026, we're going to have Mega Man ZX by Matt Moylan and Spaz. And then we have Mega Man Legends, also January 7th, the comic, written by David Oxford and Mick Fong. Fantastic artist. And then after that, the week after, January 14th, my comic starts. My ongoing comic series with Mega Man X. That's going to be January 14th. And then February, March, April, May, and I believe June, the comic is going to be up until then. We're going to do 6 issues. We're going to take, obviously, an assessment of it and make some decisions based on that, like any comic series. But there'll be another surprise before June in May. That's all I'm going to say for now. Big surprise. That is, everyone's going to be stoked for that in May. Something that I'm working on. So there's going to be that too. So check, that'll be really hype stuff. And on top of all of that, there's going to be Mega Man and Proto Man debuting in Sonic Racing, which I believe is going to be at the end of January. I don't know. It's already on my Switch, but because I have an advanced thing, but yeah, I believe it's going to be then. But there's a lot of stuff happening. A lot of stuff happening. This is a huge, huge push by Capcom that has been cooking behind the scenes for the past 2 years. So, man, oh man, that's all I'm going to say. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, and it was just something where I was like, all of us that were related to this project pretty much had to be like off of social media for like the past 4 or 5 days, just because they really wanted to, because I think they decided they were going to show this at the last moment, and they just wanted to make sure that nothing leaks out. So hype stuff. That's all I'm going to say. Really hype stuff. And stay tuned. More to come. More to come. I will say this. I had this discussion today, and a lot of people were asking me why it took so long for Mega Man to have another game. And aside from the anniversary year that they want to do it on, I always try to tell people that Capcom is the only third-party Japanese video game developer that is still around today that didn't almost go bankrupt or had to merge to survive. And what I mean by that is, think of every game that you loved from Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64, that era, and all the Japanese third-party developers that existed back then. Let's use Bomberman, Hudson Soft. They had to be bought by Konami because they almost went bankrupt. Konami almost went bankrupt, and they had to merge with another company and survive because of Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading cards. Then you have Tecmos Japan. They got bought by, what was it called there? AVG? No, what was it called? There's some other company, AVG or AVS. They bought them out. What was it called? Jeez, it bothers me now. I forget that because I love the Kunio series. Oh my God. Arc System Works, is it? I think it's Arc Systems Works. So they bought them out to survive. Then you have, let me think of another one here that also, a best one, Squaresoft almost died, and they had to merge with Square Enix to survive. Like, I could just go on and on. Like every single one of those companies except Capcom. Capcom was the only company that never had to merge with anybody, never had to take out a loan, never had to file for bankruptcy and then work some money out. They were the only company that weathered all of those storms and was able to stay true to who they are. But the secret to doing that was that they didn't take crazy risks. Hey, let's think about how expensive it is to make a video game today. The old Mega Man games, they were put together with 18 people, and then they were able to get 6 games out of it off of the same engine. Same thing with Mega Man X for 3 games, and I could go on and on. Like Street Fighter, my goodness, 1 engine, 5 games over a span of 8 years. So and then Street Fighter 3, like they had a pattern that kept them safe, that kept them good with their money, and they didn't want to take risks. And they had something like Monster Hunter that would always protect them. That's why we had a Monster Hunter Transformer crossover, because that was doing well. Oh, Sega almost went bankrupt multiple times. Sega, another one, a great one, Namco, the creator of Pac-Man. Namco had to merge with Bandai to survive. Like every single, I'm forgetting more than I'm remembering, but if you name a third-party Japanese developer that was well known in America, they've had to merge with someone else to survive, or they don't exist at all today. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, it's just something where Capcom was always able to survive because they were smart and they didn't take rash decisions, because they know, like, if you essentially put out a big game and it dies on the vine, it could cost you the whole company. We had extremely successful Transformer games with Activision, but more specifically, not so much Activision, but the companies that worked on War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron. And then they put out that Deadpool game. And that was it. That killed the whole company. And that was the end of it. So it's something where you got to be very careful with that. And Capcom was always very careful. And this is going to be a big project. They saw how well Mega Man 11 did, sold record numbers, best-selling Mega Man game of all time. So they're like, okay, let's do something really special for the 40th. And that's what it's going to be. Yeah, High Moon. I didn't say it? Yeah, High Moon Studios. High Moon put out that Deadpool game. And this was before Deadpool Mania. This was like before the Deadpool movies. This was before all of that. This was like, oh, only comic people really know who Deadpool is. And it died. It didn't do well. And it was a good game. It was fun, but it didn't do well. And it cost them millions of dollars. And everything was gone. Everything. All of it gone. Buried to the ground. Rest in peace, man. So, that's essentially the long, short explanation for it. It gets a little deeper too, but that's business stuff that I shouldn't be talking about. But let's just say 2026, before even 2027 comes around, 2026 is going to be packed with stuff. So stay tuned for that. Between now with my comment, like just January is going to have 3 different books debuting. Then we're going to have my ongoing series, the big thing in May. Then we got San Diego Comic-Con with another big thing. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening, a trade paperback thing too. Like there's going to be a bunch of stuff. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned. A lot of good stuff. Kept telling people, like, they were like, oh, Mega Man's dead. Oh, I want a new game. And it's just me just having the smile. Like, hey, don't worry. Just keep buying the action figures. Keep buying the comics. Don't worry. We're getting there, people. We're getting there. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Stay tuned for more of that in the super near future. We'll do some sponsorships, and then we will do a giveaway, and then we'll talk. Actually, we'll talk about what we got this week, and then we'll do a giveaway after, or vice versa. We'll see how it is. So first, let's go with Symbiote Studios plush pins and T-shirts. Rocking me my Catnip Bravo Optimus Prime today. Love that shirt. I find like I like to wear that shirt during the TFCon charity auction. It looks nice. I like red. But there's that one available, as well as all the others, and the brand new scaling of Symbiote Studio plush products, specifically the brand new, the Commander Convoy, the Scheming Starscream, the Brave Bumblebee, and the Superior Soundwave. of the new higher price point if you want to get a big plush on your couch to chill with you while you watch the 86 movie. And of course, coming around TFCon in March of 2026, you'll finally be able to complete your Dinobots, with Swoop being revealed. He will be available first at TFCon as an exclusive, and then afterwards, we'll call it a debut exclusive. And then afterwards, will be available on the website to be purchased. And then Slag won't be so alone anymore. So very cool, Swoop joining the crew. Then you got all the My Little Pony ones for you bronies out there, and you cloppers and you sloppers, or whatever they call themselves. I don't know. I don't know my ponies. She knows G1 ponies. That's about it. So you got the new winter collection. You got the new pin sets. The pin sets are nice, though. I like that now they're in boxes and stuff. They did that with the Magic the Gathering ones, which are the ones I'm excited about. So those are available on the website right now. They have a beautiful 3-pack box. So if you're into Magic, there's that. I want to get an Urza one, though. I need an Urza pin. That'd be really cool. An Urza or a Jace. That'd be really awesome. Oh, man, those would be so good. So there's that. And then, of course, on top of it all, the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. Go check out the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. A lot of good stuff going on there. We will have some new episodes out shortly. We are just super busy behind the scenes with a lot of other stuff going on too. Aaron is now back in Rhode Island doing his thing. So he's feeling it out. He's checking it out. Check it out, yo. And of course, if you want to get a Posca painting, oh, look at that. That's Cringe McCringles Posca painting with good old Shia LaBeouf. Just do it. Buy yourself a Posca painting from archermonster.com/shop. One of a kind pieces, one of one made. Enjoy. Love it. Amazing stuff. Check it out, yo. Hey, Swedish Chef, what's up? So check that out too. Posca paintings at archermonster.com/shop. And again, got to promote myself. So again, January 14th, 2026. We're going to be having the Mega Man X ongoing series. Here's one of 5 different covers you could pick. I really like that Hanzo cover, but they're all good. They're all good. You got a cover from Hanzo. You got a cover from Chamba. You got a cover from Marshall. You got a cover from Edwin. They're all gorgeous. Even that atomic marshmallow one all the way on the right, the waifu cover. Love the waifu cover. That's going to be that one's selling insanely well. No surprise. So check that out. Available right now at your local comic book shops, up for pre-order. If you don't have a local comic book shop in your area, udonentertainment.com does have you covered on their website. You will just have to pay shipping. So, but otherwise, go to your local comic book shop and say, I want Mega Man X, the comic series by Daniel Arsenault. And Chamba is going to be doing issue number 0, the special first issue, and then Hanzo will be doing the rest of the series afterwards in his special, very accurate anime art style. So check that out, yo. And support the pod by picking up a comic. If I don't have it at the cons. Which they did very well. But yeah, so the Mega Man Legends book will also be debuting January 7th. So if you're looking to pick up the special Transformer cover, go to your local comic book shop and ask them if they have that special cover. It is a retailer incentive, so they won't have many of them. That's the more chase cover. Again, failing that, udonentertainment.com does have you covered there to get that special cover if need be. Just, of course, again, pay shipping. Yeah. I gotta promote myself as best I can. I have some sponsors, but you gotta promote yourself too. You gotta. That is the cover to get. I will admit, even the Hasbro team, when we revealed that cover at San Diego, the Hasbro team, I think it was Mark, Evan, and Nate, were all like, "Yo, how do we get that cover?" They all wanted that. Because that's Josh Perez, by the way. Shout out to Joshua Perez, who I've worked on many a Transformer project together with, and Mega Man too. He did that cover. Fantastic job, Perez, as always. Always does the great stuff. He's done quite a few Mega Man stuff in the past, and this cover is just yet another example of his amazing stuff. Stay tuned in the future because I made sure that on my Mega Man X book, there's always going to be a cover that's going to feature a big name in the Transformer world. So starting with, I believe, issue number 1 going forward, we're going to have a special guest cover artist from a big name in the Transformer industry doing a cover. I made sure of that because I wanted all of those guys to get their chance at bat to do Mega Man X stuff. So stay tuned for that too. Very fun stuff. If I was going to be on there, there was still going to be Transformers in the Mega Man pudding. Couldn't be helped. That's just what's was going to happen one way or another. Okay, so first we'll talk about what we got this week, and then we'll open it up. Actually, you know what? We'll do the giveaway first. Let's do the giveaway first. Got to do the giveaway. So let me get out my piece of paper here to write down. The reason why I have to is because you guys. So how it's going to work once again is I'm just going to ask a question. This is only for YouTube members, which are the green names, and patrons. I don't know who the patrons are. My moderator, John, in the chat is going to take care of that. He'll figure that out because he has the Patreon list open. And then you're going to get a choice. This comes courtesy of Bint Studios, and I didn't keep the slide here. One moment. You're going to get a choice of one of these items. Get the pick one. And then whatever isn't picked, we'll add something new in for next week, and so on and so forth. So again, this is our giveaway. Get the pick one. Whoever wins. All I ask is that you have a mailing or shipping address to continental USA or Canada. If you are located overseas, we do ask that you help us with the shipping because it would be ridiculously expensive to ship over this stuff otherwise. At least in the States and Canada, it's affordable, relatively, for the time being. But yeah, a lot of good stuff here. You got yourself the Origins Bumblebee, the G2 Breakdown. We got a Cybertron, aka Galaxy Force, Excellion, aka Hotshot. We got a nice barricade, not barricade. That's the Dread there. Then we got Solus Prime, which I mean, hey man, that's what I was hunting for all this time. And then we got the Toy Optimus, and then this one's cool too. 2-in-1. In this case, if you pick number 7, you get 2 oversized blocky kits of the Rise of the Beast, Mirage, and Scourge together. You get 2 of those if you want. If you pick number 7, like a bit of a little something extra there too. So there's that. Also, so the question we are going to ask, and it's a very easy one. Very easy one. Where was the hidden underground maximal base in Rise of the Beasts? What was the name of the city or the country? I think one or the other you could answer. So again, YouTube members and patrons apply. And the winner, if you are the winner, please contact me through either Patreon, Twitter, or Instagram so we could get your address and we will ship it out to you hopefully before the holiday season as an extra thank you for everything. And once again, brought to you by Bint Studios. All of that good stuff. Axelon City. The good old Axelon. The good old Axelon. Some people even putting flags. Look at that. I'm just going to be quiet here for a moment, enjoying some water. Mm-mm-mm. Again, please have a address in Canada or the USA, continental. If you do not, please just pay for the shipping. That's all we ask. Or help us pay for a little bit of the shipping. Just because I believe we had a winner once that was somewhere in England, and man, that came to like $30. And I think at the time, I think we were shipping out like a core class figure or something. So it happens. Clearly, someone here is saying Japan. So we'll give that another 10 seconds, and then we will cut it off. And then we'll give John some time to put all the names in our little auto generator, and then we will pick a winner. And that'll be that. So please stick around for that. Otherwise, we'll have to then pick someone else. That's how it is. So, John, just be sure to take 3 names just in case. Thank you very much. Because I think one time, 2 people won. We called out to those 2 people, and then neither of them contacted us. It's like, hey, you didn't want free stuff. Okay. I don't know about Atlantis. It's kind of funny. That has to do with something I got this weekend a little bit. Not that's from Atlantis, but maybe something water related. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Alrighty then. So I'm going to leave that to John. He'll figure that out, and then he'll send me a message when everything is ready. I'm just going to check out my phone here, make sure I get my message from him. But yeah. So in the meantime, while John figures that out, what did I get this week? So not much. The only thing that I got, so I cracked open first. Might as well talk about this. I finally got to crack open my core class Bumblebee movie Shockwave. He sat in the package forever, and I finally got around to opening him. Nice little tiny Shockwave that's going to chill on my desk for the next couple of weeks before I put him in the display. Love me a good Shockwave. And I'm also going to finally crack open this Earthspark one that I bought on clearance for $10 Canadian. This was like $6-7 USD. And I only bought it because it's Shockwave, even though it was on sale. I was going to wait for it to be on sale before I would buy it, even if it's Shockwave. But it's the one that's based off of the Cyberverse one, so it's not even like going to be a surprise. The tooling, just new paint scheme and one of those extra Mandroid limbs. Yeah, hey, Mandroid. Remember when that was a thing for all of like half a season? So there was that. But the big thing that I got in the mail, and not even the mail, excuse me, was something that kind of worked out. So shout out to Toy Snowman. Cool, cool group of people that I've known for quite a bit now. And essentially, they contacted me and said, hey, we know you really like Transformers. One of our things that we got absolutely got decimated. Long story short, they had a pallet of Transformer product, and we had a crazy snowstorm over the past, I think it was like 3-4 days now. And for whatever reason, one of the figures was in the snow, and then the snow melted outside, and then it was just like 4 feet of water. So the bottom part of the pallet was just soaking wet, and it absolutely destroyed the box. And they're worried that it might have destroyed the product too. So they bought an entire pallet of this dark scorpion giant. You can probably see the water damage on it already. Look at all that. It's all like warped and stuff. It's kind of hard to see. So apparently this figure uses more die cast than the original Scorponok or Black Zarek did. And so because it's covered in water and because it's metal, there's worried about it rusting. Also, the box itself is now soaking wet. I don't want to open it yet. I'm probably going to open it somewhere that's very aerated well, and then I'm going to destroy and get rid of this box because it's probably going to have mold. There's also a foam in there, he told me, and because there's a foam in there, that definitely is going to have mold, and the figure's probably going to rust. But hey, Proto Man, do you want this for free because we can't sell it now? And all we ask is that you give a shout out to Toy Snowman on your podcast. So shout out to Toy Snowman and thank you for this bad boy right here. I have the original. The original that I have doesn't have all the accessories, and I'm terrified to transform the original. So it's nice to have one here that hopefully the GPS won't be too bad on it. Hopefully. I do not know. I haven't opened this yet. But he said that there's a ton of die cast on this that the original does not have. So I'm kind of curious how different this is going to be from the original, but I kind of appreciate that because then you're able to tell the difference from the original and that one. But either way, so thank you for that. So I got that too. That was a gift essentially because it's literally a biohazard that they can't sell. And I'm probably gonna have to wash my hands afterwards. But literally there was that. So apparently a bunch of Godzilla product got messed up too, and they had to talk to other people to hook them up also. So it is what it is. It happens. Casualty of war. It is what it is. So and then of course that's it more or less. It's been a the only other thing that I got was Mondo Toys. I got one of their products in the mail. Nothing too major with that. So it is what it is. How we doing, John? Do we have? Oh, we have two of them. John didn't pull a third one yet. Just give him a moment, just in case. We'll pull this up in the meantime. Oh, okay, we got a third one now. So the winner of the giveaway for this week. Next week we'll do another one, and we'll add something new that'll be not here. The winner is YouTube and Patreon member Anthony Chico. Anthony Chico. Do we have an Anthony Chico here? We'll give you a minute, Anthony. If not, the next person will get your stuff. Anthony Chico. Are you here, Anthony Chico? He's here. Hey, Anthony. So, Anthony, which one do you want? So I can write that down. Let me write down Anthony Chico. And what number would you like, sir? Which one would you like? Then we'll take that one away and we will add something new next week. And then please contact me through Patreon and or Instagram and or Twitter with your US or Canadian address. Choose number 8. Number 8. Number 0. Remember, number 7, you get both of them. The others, you only get one. You want number 7. Very well, sir. Number 7 for Anthony Chico. Darn right, the Blockies bundle. Very cool. Good choice. Blockies are awesome. They're absolutely amazing. I believe those are $19.99 each. That's a good almost $40 value right there. So please contact me through Patreon and or Instagram and or Twitter with your address, and we will ship that out ASAP. And thank you for being part of the Patreon or the YouTube membership, and happy holidays or happy Primus Day. And we will do this again next week on the Transformers Slag podcast, because we do this every year. Every year in December, we do a little bit of gift giveaways. Thank the patrons and the YouTube members for supporting the podcast and helping us out, keep everything going. I mean, literally every dime that I get from the podcast goes towards stuff within the podcast. Our camera, just one day, like no joke, like I plugged it in and it's like the wire smoked up and freaked out. I don't know what happened. I'm convinced that because I was bringing the camera to cons, the wire got kinked in my luggage every time doing that. And then one day it finally died. And that camera, I mean, it's an expensive Logitech HD camera for like $150 Canadian plus our Quebec taxes of 14% to 15%. Plus we also have eco disposal costs. So needless to say, every dime you guys put in helps out the podcast and goes towards keeping the lights on with this crazy thing. So thank you for all the love and support and everything you guys do. You guys are amazing. I hope that you enjoy what I do too. That's why we also do our exclusives when we do the cons and stuff. I always try to give something back to you guys every time, anything I could do, So next week we'll do another. We'll add something new. And lucky number 7. Lucky you, Anthony. And we'll see for next week. Well then, what else do we got? Not much else. Might as well just talk about what else is happening. So the latest episode of Transformers Cyberworld came out. Really good episode. I really like what Ali Lightfoot is doing. It featured Wheeljack in it, so that's cool that once again more toy product is being featured in the show, which is fantastic. Uh, Again, it's really great to see how much story could be told in 4 minutes that something like 22 minutes of Earthspark couldn't do. You know, so they're doing great, fantastic stuff. Very happy with how that show's turning out. I want to pick up Wheeljack now, but Wave 2 I haven't seen in retail yet. Um, who am I missing from Wave 1? I think I'm only missing Scourge of the show appeared toys. So, but yeah, great stuff. So I'm very excited about that. I also watched, I probably should have made a slide of this. I also watched the first 30 episodes of Transformers Neza. My Neza Transformers. All I could say really about that from someone who doesn't understand Chinese and is literally just watching it raw in Chinese, trying to figure out what they're talking about, trying to make sense of what they're saying. It's I hate to say it, it's kind of Earthspark China in that it's a heavy lean on the human characters, a heavy lean on that story and the humanoid looking characters because Neza also makes a good portion of the narrative. And it's a shame because I love Cyberworld, but the characters from Cyberworld from that version of Transformers literally take the back door to this show. I know what it is and what its purpose is. It's supposed to be a Chinese exclusive product aimed at a Chinese audience. Neza is a huge deal over there. They did a Neza animated movie just recently that broke a whole bunch of box office records. It's something that's totally lost on us as Westerners. And they just it's kind of like, I don't know how to like make an equivalency of it, but it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like Western folklore that's kind of like mixed with Transformers. And it's like, I don't know, like Bigfoot. If Bigfoot was mixed with, and I don't want to compare Bigfoot to Neza, but it's like, I can't think, what's Western folklore? I'm trying to think, like Paul Bunyan, you know, John Henry. I don't know. So it's like it's something where you mix it with Transformers, but in China, Neza is a much bigger marketing thing, because all the Western folklore stuff actually comes from Grimm's fairy tales, and that's all Disney associated now. So it's kind of hard to do like Robin Hood Transformers. I guess that would probably be cool though. But like Robin Hood Transformers, like that's kind of what it is. Uh, but yeah, man, it's something where it's okay. I'm kind of curious about the toys if they're going to get reissued because there's a lot of cool designs in it. There's 4 new Cybertronian designs, 2 of those that have already been made into like a legend scale kind of figure because these were supposed to come out during 2019, 2020 when like we still had the legend scale. Like it's kind of funny like Neza was supposed to come out, we got rid of the legend scale. We had the core class. Now we don't even have the core class. And finally, my Neza and Transformers has come out. So, Knight Rider is Western folklore. Yeah, sure, why not? You're totally right though. But the thing is I'm trying to compare it to something that's like over 100 years old. You know, that's the thing because Neza goes way back, goes way back in Chinese history. So, like I did, go check it out. It's what happened to Neza Transformers. I did a segment about it on the podcast where I went through the entire visual history of Neza and all the stuff that was going on with Neza and its crazy history. And it actually crossed over with Transformers before back in the 80s and 90s. So it's not even the first time there was Neza Transformer stuff. So it's wild. It's wild. So go check that out if you have time too. But I mean, I'm just trying to think like, yeah, maybe Robin Hood would be a good one, I guess. Would be a good comparison, but Robin Hood is probably like more it's more like England, right? It's kind of like King Arthur, which technically they did with the Michael Bay movies. Kinda. Merlin was there. So I guess they kind of did it, but no King Arthur movies have like, which King Arthur movie did well? Because I know Sword in the Stone didn't do well. That was one of the Disney movies that actually kind of flopped, which I enjoyed Sword in the Stone. But none of the King Arthur movies did well either. It's kind of a shame. I like King Arthur. He's cool. King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, even more cool. Uh, Wendigo, Transformer. Those are the cryptids. It's funny they could do a Wendigo because if they did a Wendigo Transformer, Hasbro does stuff with Marvel, and Wendigo was a villain in the Hulk comics. Wolverine's first appearance was against Wendigo and the Hulk. So you could have the Excalibur. Kind of funny. The Excalibur meets the Star Saber blade. Yeah, it kind of writes itself a little bit. It does a little bit. T-Formers 2002 and Timu did end up with some cases of Neza Transformers back during the Big V era, and now they go for crazy money. Indeed, they do. They go for crazy money now, but there's a strong chance that those might finally get reissued now, so that might soften the value. But I mean, I remember, I forget which TFCon it was. Maybe it was Chicago, but I remember there was two different dealers that had the 3-packs, and they were asking quite a bit of money for it, and they actually got sold. But that was at a time when we believed, like, oh, Neza Transformers is never happening. Like, it's like the toys were made, the Big V happened, that kind of leveled everything. Now these are going to be like super limited sample items that are kicking around. But maybe they'll get reissued. I mean, look, if they're putting out the show on CCTV, which is the Chinese Children Network, if they're putting it out like crazy, they might as well put out the product now if the tooling is out there, especially if there's cases of it probably sitting in a factory somewhere or in a warehouse. Mikey and Louie, if Primus made the 13, did Unicron make 13 crons? Nope, unfortunately. So Simon Furman talked about this briefly. A lot of what he wrote of Transformers, he would pull from the Bible. And you have the 13 apostles, which is what the original 13 comes from, with the Judeo-Christian Bible, King James Bible, if you want to call it that, which was kind of a rewrite. So he kind of pulled from all of that. And then you have stuff like the Fallen, which is supposed to represent the fallen angel, which would then become, one of, like, I believe, was it, again, I'm not super religious, so I don't know all of that stuff. But it's like you have one of the fallen angels. Obviously, Unicron represents the devil that then tempts the fallen angels. And then you have, obviously, the tricksters. It's all stuff that comes from the Bible. It's all pulled from that. So there is no, like, 13 equivalency of the devil stuff. You do have, which was done through Armada, you have the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which again comes from Judeo-Christianity, and that was used in Armada, where he had his 4 horsemen, which again from the Bible. So there is other stuff that's pulled from that. And again, who wrote the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in the Armada comics? Simon Furman. So Simon always pulls things from, like, whenever he needs ideas, he always says, I'm going to go to the most published popular piece of fiction, wink, wink, of all time, the Bible. He's not a religious individual, but it's a great story from his mind, Media Max, Yo Proto, is it true that Hasbro is $3 billion in debt? The return on the return of Michael Bay is their only hope. Well, they're not in debt because the Final Fantasy TCG Magic the Gathering set made zillions of dollars and cost absolutely nothing to make. Like, if they sold $3 billion of Transformers and they sold $3 billion of Magic the Gathering cards, $3 billion of Transformers probably gets you $1 billion of profit. But $3 billion of Magic cards makes you $2.9999 billion of profit because they cost nothing to manufacture. Only foil cards might cost a little bit more to manufacturing because of the foiling, but they cost nothing to manufacture. And now that even like, I wish I had an example of some packs here. Wait, maybe I do. I have some old packs here, but like even the packaging, they've made more eco-friendly packaging and stuff. So they made plenty just for Magic. Magic did really well. Even stuff that was deemed failures, like the Spider-Man set that they did very well because it costs so little to make it that the profits are so easy. So easy. Like if they make a product and only 10% of it sells, they still made profit. That's how easy it is. And if they had 90% leftover inventory, the only loss is having to hold on to that inventory in a warehouse, but they still make profit. It's so ridiculously high, the profits on the Magic the Gathering stuff. If anything, doing toys is the net negative, as sad as that sounds. Where we at? Where we at? Media Mac, Yo Proto. Okay, I went that one already. Mikey and Louie, are we ever going to get a normal size 13th Prime? Not sure to make sense. The 13 is a giant convoy. Well, I mean, this has never been 100% stated officially, but the 13th, depending on which continuity you're looking at, is supposed to represent whoever the Matrix bearer is at that time. So here's Prima. Primus makes 12 of the 13. Prima has the Matrix of Leadership in the hilt of Starsaber. Prima fights against this is by the way, this is like the G1 original 13, not what Simon Furman wrote, not what James Roberts wrote, not what the Aligned Continuity had. The true G1 origin 13. Primus creates 12. Unicron is coming. There's bickering on the inside. Liege Maximo is creating trouble. He bounces before Unicron shows up, but he wanted to sow seeds of trouble. And then you have, Vector Prime that bounces because he goes through a time continuum. Alpha Trion goes into hiding. Alchemist becomes McAdams. But before all of that happened, they fight Unicron that finds Cybertron. A big battle happens. Prima dies. The Fallen, Megatronus becomes the Fallen and betrays everyone. Kills Solus Prime out of jealousy. Whole story with that. Long story short, the Matrix has to be given to a new Prime. Thus, the 13th is created. And then that creates the lineage of the Primes. Whoever is the 13th is the chosen one of that time. Rodimus Prime is the 13th. Optimus Prime is the 13th. Sentinel Prime of that continuity is the 13th. That's probably the best way to explain it. So when you get to, which I'm going to assume like at that point, if you get to Operation Combination and Battle Stars, when Star Convoy is the leader and the Matrix is returned to him with the Zodiac, because he's holding the Zodiac in all the promotional images, which suggests it's happening during that Transformers Zone, Operation Combination, and Battle Stars bubble. That's when he's the 13th. Hot Rod brought back the Matrix. Diatlas had the Zodiac. They put the Zodiac inside the Matrix of Leadership, the giver of life. They put it inside the dead husk of Optimus Prime from Headmasters. He is reborn as Star Convoy, the 13th. Who was the 13th before? Hot Rod, who had the Matrix all that time. The first 13th, we'd have to go through what would be Simon Furman's run of it, which would be Zeta Prime. That would be his first one. Because you have, I think it was, he had Prima, Primon, Zeta Prime, Sentinel Prime, Optimus Prime. Although that might have changed since then. That was since the last time I talked with Simon. But he would always, and that's kind of like the canon continuity in a lot of ways. that I kind of almost live and die by, because that was the one that I went with for years because of the Marvel Comics. And then kind of got retconned a little bit with good old Sakamoto-san looking at the the cartoon continuity and going, "Oh, we could change it. We don't need to have a monkey that made everybody." Yeah, and the quintessons. But so that's kind of the long short answer of that, of how that is. But the 13th is always whoever has the Matrix at that time. Technically, Ultra Magnus, even though he wasn't chosen, was a artificial 13th, I guess. Maybe, and again, that goes deeper into why the Matrix doesn't work with some people when they hold it, because they're not the 13th, they're not the chosen. You know, there you go. The 12 apostles and the 13th, the chosen one. And the chosen one is the Son of God. And Rodimus Prime looks a lot like Primus. Once again, Simon Furman, pulling from the Bible, pulling from the Torah. Well, the Torah doesn't have, that's New Testament for the Christians, but you get it? So it's like he pulls a lot from that. I remember when I was talking to Flint Dilley, who wrote the 86 movie, and I asked him like how much of Star Wars influenced Transformers, and he even like the 86 movie, and he said, look, we can't deny that Star Wars had some kind of influence over it, but overall he was like watching the Cleveland Browns, and he was watching football at the time, and he was like actually comparing stuff to that and everything. But the whole Unicron thing and the devil, and the influences of his visual design, that goes to Fleur O'Deary. And when that character was called Ingestor, they didn't have a name yet for Unicron, and just comparing him to the devil, but also again the Star Wars influence. Hot Rod having a visual that looked very Luke Skywalker, RC having a visual that looked very Princess Leia. To quote Fleur O'Deary, naked Carrie Fisher. No joke. That's his words, not mine. Naked Carrie Fisher. And I could go on and on. Springer supposed to be their Han Solo. It is what it is, and obviously Grimlock is their Chewbacca. So there's all those connections, all those little things there. Mike and Louie, Buster Witwicky in the comics had the Matrix in him for a while. Was he also a 13th Prime? Well, that's kind of like, that's when you get into the pre-Matrix knowledge, like when you have the creation matrix in your soul because of how that was written back then. Optimus Prime on a floppy disk, backed up, all that wackiness. That was before the Matrix was a thing, when it was just the creation matrix, but they didn't really know what it was yet. The early examples, the Entity, that was another early example of Unicron. I think that was the second version that they went with. That's when he had the purple color scheme. But yeah. Yeah. But again, there's a lot of like, that's how people get inspiration. You look at a lot of people that we look up to, and we look at the stuff that they create that we worship, and they're inspired by something else that they really like. Like a lot of my writing is inspired by stuff that I enjoyed from Marvel Comics and from manga and anime. I love Chris Claremont, who's a lot of X-Men and Wolverine. I love Frank Miller, again, Wolverine. I love Jim Starlin, which was a lot of Thanos stuff, and Silver Surfer. I'm not a big Stan Lee guy. Not a fan of Stan Lee stuff in general. I mean, Stan Lee's a legend, and so is Jack. I love Jack Kirby. His art is amazing. But in terms of Stan's writing, it is what it is, but not my cup of tea. His creations are great, It's just the writing is not something that I would pull inspiration from. But Chris Claremont, Frank Miller, Jim Starlin, when it comes to Japanese guys, Akira Toriyama always comes up number one for me, and Araki, who did JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where you have to, especially with JoJo, play with the toys that you have and tell a story with that, and in a constantly changing environment of new characters. And with Transformers, that happens all the time where you're given these toys, now tell a story with that, and then next year those toys could change. It's the same thing with Mega Man. You're given these new Robot Masters, these new Mavericks, this new whatever, and every year it changes and you have to tell a story with that, you know? It's always how it's been. 14th Prime? No. Proto Man is not the 14th Prime. There is no 14th Prime. I will let Hot Rod forever be the 13th because Hot Rod's awesome. Hot Rod is awesome. I've always said my fan character is a red Formula One named Proto who enjoys nothing more than just racing. He hung out with Blur during the old racing days of ancient Cybertron. That would be my character. In Transformers 1, where all of that race was happening, the Icon 5000, all that, Proto would have been one of those characters back then. He would have been on that race. He would have won. Actually, Blur should have probably won, but that's just me. Yeah. Mikey and Louie with the YouTube member question: where is our Mega Man Transformer crossover figure? Dude, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm telling you. Literally, I was talking with Nate at San Diego Comic-Con, and he's like, "Oh, Proto Man's working on the Mega Man comics." And the first thing Nate said was, "Who has the toy license?" And Jada has it right now. So it's almost like it crossed their mind at one point. You know? It's like, yeah. Right now, the master toy license for Mega Man in the West is with Jada. Jada has done collaboration stuff with Hasbro. They did the Marvel vs. Capcom collaboration with, gosh, what was that clothing company? I think it was called, what was it called? It had a weird name, like 4 or 5 letters. But so they did a collaboration where they took the Jada Mega Man stuff, the Jada Street Fighter stuff, and then the Marvel Hasbro stuff, and they put it all together in one product. So it does show that they could be willing to collaborate together. So it's not out of the question if they want to do a Transformers Mega Man collaboration, which would be really cool. I mean, part of me says just take the Mega Man race car stuff from Battle and Chase and in the new Sonic game and just turn that into transforming stuff. But then the other part of me is like, do you want to do maybe unique ideas? You know, instead of taking those kart racers from Mega Man and turn those into transforming product, take, Turbo Man, who's a legitimate transforming robot from Mega Man, and turn that into a transformer. I mean, that'd be really cool too, but no one knows who Turbo Man is, so it wouldn't be a really good recommendation for mainstream appeal, where if you just took the Mega Man Rush Racer from Battle and Chase or the upcoming Sonic game and just turned that into a transformer, I think more people would prefer that. And Mega Man, has enough of a crossover with 80s kids and 90s kids that it could sell. Very much so, in my opinion. But Turbo Man would be, if you look up Turbo Man, he's the very first Transformer Mega Man character, like legit. And then you had Gyro Man in Battle Network. He was like a yellow helicopter that could transform. There was a few already. There was a few already that existed, but nothing that became toys, sadly. Nothing that became toys, unfortunately. Where's our Turbo from GoBots? Crasher needs a playmate. Well, that's Hasbro, and unfortunately, Turbo is such a generic name that they'd have to. I don't know if you took Blur, retooled a little bit, painted it red, brand new head sculpt. You could do a turbo out of it, but that's if they want to do it. But they're homaging the e-hobby stuff. They're not doing direct GoBot homages. They're just homaging something that e-hobby did a couple of years ago. Maybe if they do a Mega Man and Turbo Man. Well, I mean, I think they would probably do a Mega Man and a Proto Man, or a Mega Man and a Wily, like a Wily machine, as they're called. They do something like that. I think it would be better to do Dr. Wily in a 2-pack, just so it has a contrast, and skip over doing Proto Man. That's sacrilege coming from me, but from a business standpoint, it makes more sense to do a Wily machine. T-Formers 2002, has there ever been a Mega Man transforming toy? Never. And I own a lot of everything. The closest we have to that is they did a Mega Man X ride chaser, like a ride bike that transformed into a fictional version that doesn't exist of Rush from Mega Man X. And that was done by a licensee company. It was never official in Mega Man fiction. It was just a product that they put out. And that's probably the closest we've ever had to a Mega Man Transformer. In fiction, there's tons of it, but in terms of toys, there's just that one. I believe it was 3-0 that did it. What was the company that did that? I have it in my collection. I forget which company did it. But it was like a Mega Man X stylized, and then it came with a bike that transformed into a stylized version of a Mega Man X Rush, which never existed. So that's probably about as close as you're going to get. They could always name GoBot Turbo, just like they did with Autobot Jazz. Yeah, totally, Horned Owl. They could, but it's something where a lot of those decisions, when it comes to the GoBots, they've really tried to avoid making a nod to a rival company that truly owns those looks. Because you look at the GoBot set that we got recently, the reality is all of those colors that are on there. I mean, let me just grab the box here because it's right nearby. But these guys right here, this set. So, number one, Pathfinder. So, Pathfinder in this version, which is based off of the eHobby one, is like a blue with yellow. The original Pathfinder from Machine Robo, aka Bandai, their rival company in Japan, it's gray with slight pink elements and red elements everywhere. So it's not even a true homage. It's called Pathfinder, but it's not really visually Pathfinder. So not Pathfinder. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? This is Pathfinder. Ah, no, that's Pathfinder. Smallfoot. My brain is tired today. So then you have Smallfoot. Same thing. Smallfoot. This one here is oranges with some pinks, with some reds, those elements there. The original Smallfoot, I wish I could pull it down. I have it hanging on the wall over here. The card has blues, pickup truck with reds, different color scheme. So even though it's called Smallfoot, it doesn't truly homage it in terms of colors. And when you get to good old at the end here, you know, the original one of this bad boy was not green, was just a straight up, you know, tank colored, maroon. I wish I had that one here too, but it's like you get to it where it's like with all of them, with treads, with Pathfinder, with with Smallfoot, with Pathfinder, even treads, that's not his colors. So it's something where if you did, this is this long-winded rant here, if you did do any of the other characters like a Turbo, they can't do it in the reds and the colors of how Turbo looks. They'd have to really be playing it safe, and it would just be Turbo in name, and then it would be like dark blue and stuff and everything. So it's a little sketchy. It's a little sketchy because they can't go that route. They can't, because then they're homaging Bandai product. If they're able to go, oh hey, we did this e-hobby set, which is what this is truly channeling, we did this e-hobby set. We'll homage that e-hobby set. That's fine. Yeah, there was some movie toys that, gave a shout out to Spoons, the forklift and stuff like that, but very vaguely, very vaguely. It just so happens that there was a forklift and this one also got an orange repaint, which I believe it was called Deadlift was the repaint of it. But yeah, Mikey and Louie, so what's the point of buying GoBot brand if it's not actually use them? Well, because they need to keep the trademark alive. They want to keep this logo going as long as they can because, yeah, they might not use GoBots in the ways that you're thinking, like a Machine Robo GoBot, but they'll use it for another kitty brand. They'll use it for a side segmentation, which is what they did. When they got this, when the merger happened, what happened was Kenner merged with Tonka, and then afterwards Hasbro took everything in together. The first thing they did with that is they did it with the G2 Spy Changers as we know them today, but they were called GoBots. And then after they did that, then they had a UK exclusive guy called GoBots. And then after that, then they had the GoBots Play School line, which lasted for like 3 years. And they had a cartoon called the GoBots. They use that brand in other places. Heck, who knows if it would have made sense? They would have called BotBots GoBots. If it would have made sense in the, I guess, like the visual marketing of it, if there wasn't like, French fries and plants and toilets and poop, they probably would have called it GoBots if it was all vehicles and stuff. To have that element, go represents like to go forward. So it wouldn't have surprised me if they would have done that. They should have called deadlift forks. Well, again, the deadlift is something that could be used again and again. If they call it forks, maybe not so much. And you can't own forks, but maybe they're legal. It's like, oh, we could own deadlift, you know. T-Formers 2002, got to wait for a new Power Glide to get e-hobby. Bad Boy. Yeah, Bad Boy is another. There's a few. There was an extended e-hobby collection that goes outside of those original 6 from that e-hobby set. Like there actually is, an actual Man-O-War using the Sea Spray mini-bot. It never got made, but it does exist. Same thing with Rescue, using the hubcap mold, and I could go on and on. So there's potential to do another box set of that if they want to, but my question is how well did this sell? I mean, I love this stuff, but I am a minority when it comes to that. I always say what I love and what makes money is 2 very different things, and I recognize that when it comes to idea making. Because I mean, you could do Vanguard from Braun, but they won't, and nor should they. As much as I would love it, they won't because it's not a good idea in terms of making money. Sorry, 1 second. I just lost the screen for everything here. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, yo. Always with this. What is this? So it's something where, to me, I hope that in the future that that they do more because I like GoBots, but if it's not making money, don't do it. If Hasbro doesn't make money, the first inclination is to increase prices. So I'd rather they be making money and not increasing prices because they always want to keep those profits up. Mikey and Lily, what's for dinner and dessert? She made homemade what's it called there? The Japanese dish. Gyudon. She made gyudon and rice. So I had that just before we went live. And she had a coupon from Chapman's Ice Cream, and she bought a Chapman's ice cream for 88 cents, like a tub of it. And I was like, oh, that's so bad for you. But it's called Vanilla Trilogy. That's literally the flavor. That's what it's called. I have no idea why it's called that. So if you want to count a dessert, even though I might not have it, That's sitting in our fridge right now too. But we had gyudon today, which is absolutely fantastic. Love gyudon. It's probably my favorite thing to have when I go to Japan. It's cheap, it's filling, it's high protein, it has just enough salt so that it tastes good. It's delicious. Amazing. Some third party companies have made GoBot stuff. It's just no one buys it. There was two different third party companies that made GoBot stuff and no one cared. That's the problem. You know, the problem is that as cool as GoBots is from a niche standpoint, there's just not enough people that care about it for it to be profitable. And here's the reality. It wasn't profitable back then. It wasn't profitable when they revived it with Action Toys. Action Toys did the Machine Robo line, which was all modern GoBots, and it lasted for about a year, and then it kind of just petered out. So to me, it's like if there's a demand, hey, that's great, but there isn't. And if you look at what Machine Robo is today, with their Machine Robo spin-off lines that turn into all kinds of wacky stuff and everything. Oh, it's a pineapple and it combines with a Christmas tree and makes a robot, Like even they recognize that their history isn't exactly marketable to make money because it only did okay back then, which is I love Machine Robo and GoBots. I love them. Love them, love them, love them. But I also recognize that it's not exactly something that sells well. In the same way that I bought every Street Shark when it came out, but no one else did. Clark Clint Gaming. It would be cool if GoBots became part of the MCU. Well, I mean that's a weird one because of that Guardians of the Galaxy thing. That makes me really wonder how far they could go with that. Like, how far could Disney go with that? If Disney talked to Marvel and Bandai, because obviously you have the Cykill design, which you can't use if you're Hasbro, so you'd have to talk to Bandai, and then you have the GoBots trademark, which is owned by because Hasbro owns the trademark, Bandai owns the visual. Because Bandai doesn't own GoBots because it comes from Machine Robo. So it's something where they'd have to go to Bandai and go, hey, could we license the visual of Bike Robo? Because that's what Cykill is. And then, hey, Hasbro, could we use the license of Cykill and GoBots? And then only then could they do that. And that's kind of sketchy. That's a lot of weird places you got to go to make that happen. It's not all in one place. So either way, it's something where it'll be cool. Again, I mean, when that happened in Guardians of the Galaxy, I popped. I was excited, but I knew that it wouldn't go anywhere because of how convoluted the actual reality of it is in terms of like who owns what. And that's always a problem. It's always about licensing. It's always about who owns it. How do we get ownership of it? How can we do something with it? Is it profitable to pay for that ownership? Even if you license it, is it going to be profitable? The whole reason how we were able to get Spider-Man in those MCU movies was because they were confident that whatever millions of dollars we're going to pay to license Spider-Man from Sony, we're going to make billions of dollars in ticket sales. So it was worth it. But, sometimes it isn't. Mikey and Louie, are we getting Transmetal Beasties, Depth Charge, and Rampage? I think that sooner or later we're going to get Rampage and Depth Charge only because they're going to need more big Commander class characters once they're done going through every combiner. And considering that clearly Devastator was successful, Devastator did well. So I imagine if they want to revisit doing another combiner through Studio Series as a way to double up on combiners, hey, we're clearly going to get Menasor at some point. But what if they want to do a Studio Series, I don't know, Predaking? Even though that doesn't make sense because Predaking wasn't in any movies, unless you want to count Call of the Primitives as a special in Japan. But it is something where they're going to get through all those combiners sooner or later. And once they do get through all those combiners, it is something where they'll have to look at the reality is guys like depth charge. If Sideways is now priced as a Voyager, depth charge has to be a commander at this point. And when I'm reminded of like how much bigger depth charge is than someone like, let's say, Big Convoy, granted that's the Bloody Tusks I'm pointing at, but if Bloody Tusks is smaller than depth charge is a commander class for sure. And same thing with Rampage. Now the question is, are you willing to pay $100 for depth charge? That's the only difference. Rampage has the modern Rampage toy, has gold plastic syndrome, has all kinds of problems with him. He's a little fragile in some areas. The treads could dry out and snap if you try to do his vehicle mode. Rampage needs an update. Depth Charge, still a fantastic figure, still to this very day, and pretty plentiful. Not a cheap figure, but he's not rare either. Like he sold very well back in the day. So if you could get both missiles and his 5 pizza discs, I call them because it's kind of like the pizza launcher from Ninja Turtles. If you could get all of that complete for like under $60, I think that's a win. Because he was Beast Wars. So he was $20 in America and he was probably 25, if not 30 in Canada. And that's $30 back in 1998. So you're talking like with inflation today, probably $50 today. So if you could get a complete depth charge for 60, that's pretty good, you know. Not modern. When I say modern Rampage, I mean like vintage Rampage. Excuse me. The Rampage that we have, the Transmetal 2, it has the red plastic that is used for his knees and his connections for his hips. From my own personal experience buying and selling a lot of Beast Wars toys and finding them in bins, I probably have 2 broken ones upstairs in my parts bins. Rampages always bust at the knees, and anyone who tries to attempt stretching the rubber treads to make the tank mode, there is a chance, depending on how it was stored, it could crack and snap. So obviously a new Rampage would not adopt that same concept of the rubber tread. They'd have to do something that's more built in as a folding design, but that's what I'm referring to. Oh, everyone always has that story. I'm guilty of it too. Oh, mine's held up. Of course, mine's held up too, but I also haven't touched it in like 25 years. Every single time I've messed with Beast Wars toys has been secondary market, never my own personal ones. Probably the last time I've touched a Cheetor figure or a Rat Trap figure or anything was me probably messing with a one that I got through the secondary market, one way or another. Buy, sell, buy, sell. And that's always been the case. I mean, I got no joke. I have like half the size of a TV box, like something you could store a large television set in. I have like half the size of just filled to the top with Junker Beast Wars limbs and parts and arms and legs. The amount of them that I've found throughout the years is insane, insane. And I still find them to this very day. I still buy people's collections and still find that to this very day. Still to this very day. So, Annie, what about yours? You're referring to your Rhinox? It still sits in my display. Annie's my sister. She bought Rhinox. I bought Cheetor Red Eye Edition, and she bought Rhinox the very same day from Zellers back in 1996. And her Rhinox still sits in my collection to this day. Through Annie, I didn't have to buy a Rhinox, and I didn't have to buy an Air Razor. I think those were your only 2 Beast Wars toys. It was Air Razor and Rhinox. I think that was it. You never got anyone else. Oh, and you had Ravage, G1 Ravage. But that I didn't get from you. I don't know what happened to that Ravage, because my Ravage I got from someone else. You mean Spawn of Clone Starscream Spark? Yep, that one. That one. But yeah. Oh my God, we only have 6 minutes left? Jeez, we flew today. But you always got to be careful. Rhinox, the champion of fart warfare. Well, wild bean vines are truly hard to digest, apparently. So let that be a lesson. Don't eat wild beans that you see in the wild. Might not work out well for you. Good old Rhinox. The very first anus on cartoon television, too. They actually drew an anus in there. That's what's hilarious. Outside of, I guess, Ren and Stimpy. T-Formers 2002, still a cool gimmick. Having working treads. Oh, it's awesome. I mean, Beast Wars, I mean, I can't stress enough how important Beast Wars was from an engineering standpoint for Transformers. Like the leap ahead that we got afterwards, because Chrome existed before with G2, but Beast Wars really made it a mainstay. You know, articulation with ball joints existed with the Cyber Jets before that in G2, but Beast Wars made it a mainstay. Storing weapons on the actual Transformer instead of it being something on the side existed with the rotor force and stuff like that. It existed in G2, but really became a mainstay in Beast Wars. Like Beast Wars really brought Transformers into the modern era, having the pack-in comic book with the two-pack, you know, which was done, you know, unofficially was done through Dark Horse. Dark Horse at the time was going to be doing the Transformer comics with Beast Wars, and that all fell through. But you know, like there's so much that there's so much that Beast Wars contributed to the brand that is so important, you know. Draco Rex with the $2 super chat. Any hope of more aquatic alts in Generation? Well, we're getting the Shockwave whale, which I'm super stoked for. So we're going to be getting a whale soon. I mean, look, we're always going to get a shark every couple of years because of Skybite. That's kind of like locked in. At some point, we're probably going to get the Piranacons again at some point. That's going to happen again. At some point, we're going to get those dudes. So that's going to right away bake in a whole bunch of sea creatures. The only difference is how they're going to want to distribute it. I've always been like when John Warden was part of Hasbro, his biggest problem with and the main reason why we didn't get Piranacon in retail and it was a Japanese exclusive thing was every other combiner you could kind of get away with them on the shelves because they all kind of had different colors. Like even the aerial bots, even though it's like 5 jets, like Air Raid's a black jet, you know, you have Slingshots like an orange and red jet, you have one that's a gray jet. Like at least there was like a breakup of colors when you would have a bunch of deluxes together. Obviously, when you get into like Menasor and the Combaticons and stuff like with Bruticus, they all have different colors of their limbs. The problem with the Seacons is it's a lot of pink, which is already like, ooh, that's a color you want to avoid in general for a boys' toy retail. But it's a lot of pink. It's a lot of salmon, no pun intended with the fishes, but it's a lot of salmon color. It's a lot of like light pinks and fuchsias, and it's all across all of them with some blue in some areas when you're talking like certain members of them, but they have generally the same color scheme. You put all of them out there as deluxes, and you have a lot of same color product. So they want to kind of like mix it up. So I wonder what they would do. They would probably have to do like Sea Wing and I don't know. Do Sea Wing and do who's the most pink out of them? Because obviously, like the centerpiece, which is going to be Snaptrap, is going to be its own thing, so that doesn't count for deluxes. You know, do Sea Wing and Tentakill. You know, pink with the blues and the blacks, and then do another. But then you end up with more pinks again. That's the problem. There's not enough to break it up, unfortunately. And you're talking 6 members instead of 5. And then you have because you have like the 5 that do the limbs and the 6 that do the weapon. So whoever you choose that to be. So it gets a little complicated. T-Formers 2002 Cyberverse Alita being a boat is such a refreshing change given a new aquatic vehicle change for well again that goes back all the way to BotCon where they're like, hey, we got to take, you could barely see here right there, we got to take Chromia aka Thunderblast and paint her pink and call her Alita for BotCon 2009. So it all starts all the way back there. So it's that deep history of, RC is going to be a motorcycle in Energon, and how that stuck for years with different iterations. So and sometimes that's all it takes. Hey, let's do a Mirage that turns into a jet. Who knows? This might stick around. Might be a thing. Think about it, right? Mirage, the ability to disappear, right? Make Mirage a stealth bomber. What a great name for a stealth bomber, Mirage. Perfect. It'll stick. TFCon Twins with the super chat for 6.99. Hey, us twins are striving to save up and plan for LA in March. Any advice you want to give for a pair of Canadians traveling for the first time to LA? As someone who was in your shoes many times doing the West Coast BotCons back in the day, number one, um, make sure that you figure out your travel from the airport to the con, because LA, depending on which airport you fly in from, you're talking either directly to the from Burbank to the hotel. That's great. If you fly into LAX, you are talking minimum an hour Uber. It's going to be expensive. So that's the first thing you got to figure out, where you're flying into, because it's going to be very expensive to get just to the hotel from the airport. That's always been the biggest flaw when it came to the BotCons back in the day, was there was no easy way from the airport to the hotel, which is also where the con is. So that's the first piece of advice. After that, you're pretty good, because in that location, there is cheap eats. You can find cheap food to eat if you want to eat at Panda Express, McDonald's, whatever. Like, there's cheap food down there, so you could kind of just eat garbage, as I like to call it, for the next couple of days, so you could save that money for toys. But the reality is, it's going to be all about the guests. The guest announcements have been freaking amazing. And like, guys, like, we haven't seen Wally Wignet, like, since BotCon. Like, geez, 2003, 2004, the voice of Sideburn from the dub. Wow, haven't seen him in years. So lot of fresh faces, a lot of stuff to save for there, because there's a lot of good stuff that's going to be coming and more announcements. So, but definitely figure out your travel plans once you land, and figure out where you're landing. Because aside from that, you're going to want to focus your money towards voice actors, which I know in you guys, you're definitely going to look into that. Voice actors, and of course, the stellar dealer room of Japanese sellers that are going to be there because it's West Coast. So between the two of that, just save up. Just save up, guys. Guys, don't follow for the meme that, during the holidays, you got to spend a ton of money on presents and stuff. Take care of yourself. I haven't bought a Christmas present for another person, including her, in years, because why go into, debt over that? They'd understand. Don't buy me a present. I won't buy you a present. Just keep it that way. Keep it simple. Save up your money. Take care of yourself. And during Christmas, that's the last thing you need to do. Everyone dreads their credit card after December is over. So take it easy with the spending. Save up, focus it there. I mean, what do we got? We got like 3 months until TFCon LA. Save it up. Save it up. Use it wisely. Put aside $50 every week. It'll add up really quick, And then that $50 that you put aside every week, then you could use that for your travel expenses from the hotel back and forth, food expenses, some of your hotel. It is what it is, Annie, my saying is, your presence is the present. That's what I always say. Your presence is the present. I don't need, look behind me. Do I need things? I have enough things. I have enough things, I got plenty of things. But, money is a very important aspect of life, and you have to be smart with it. You have to be very smart with it. But make sure you get the right flight. Figure out where your plane is landing. because if you get the Burbank one, you're good. If you get the LAX one, you're going to be in trouble. And that was a big mistake a lot of people made the first time doing the TFCon LAs is they would go to the LAX airport and then they went, "Oh my God, I had to get a ride share or I had to get," because they would try to get an Uber and they'd see how expensive the Uber was and then they would do a ride share because that was what I was hearing the most. And I'm not too familiar with ride share, so I wouldn't be an expert for it. But a lot of people were doing that because they were stuck at the airport and they're like, "Oh my God, it's going to be like $100." So if they did a ride share, it was cheaper. And then you find a whole bunch of other fans that were stuck there. That's kind of what happened. But you want to avoid that. Like what we used to do with BotCon was we would plan in advance a whole bunch of us to meet at the airport, and then we would like all go together. Like it would be like a taxi, but it would be like a taxi van, and you could fit like 9 guys in there, and then we would split the cost and it would come to like $20 a person. But think 9 guys, $20 a person. Think about that. Whoa, that added up really fast, you know? So try to make sure to take care of that. You want to land in the Burbank airport. Do not land in LAX. And Burbank, it's like right there. It's right there. If you have to use public transit, okay, but it's like right there. So always aim for that one. Get the Burbank one. And don't be tricked by going to LAX because it's cheaper. You're not going to save that way. So that's another mistake I think a lot of people make because they saw it was cheaper. Oh, we are over 2 hours. We are done for tonight already. And fit eight people into a hotel room. They do that too. Save a lot of money. Get as many people in your hotel room. Sleep on the floor. Dude, back in the day, this is what I'll say before we call it quits tonight. Back in the day, I've told this story before. Bacons, Goober, like Meesum, we would just pack people into a car, sleep in a car, pack into a hotel room, 8 people in a room, sleep on a floor. We would like do anything to save $5, you know? If we have to sleep, like drive down to a BotCon, sleep in the car in the parking lot. Well, Proto, what do you do for showering? Oh, Hydra, could I use your card so I could get access to the swimming pool? Oh, the swimming pool has, showers. It had lockers. It had, obviously sinks and everything. So you take your shower at the swimming pool, you'd brush your teeth, you'd wash your face, you put everything in the locker there. You'd figure it out. You go poop there, like you'd get all your business done there, go sleep back in the car, fresh as a daisy, so the car doesn't smell like death, you know? That's how you do it. That's how we do it. And we'd save money. Working at Burger King, Goober, who was unemployed at the time, barely scrounging around some money to get a Bacon box set that he would turn around and flip. He would literally wear a t-shirt that would say, "I'm selling my Bacon box set" at the show. He would buy the box set just to flip it at the show that people would then turn around to sell also. Like I have a photo of him like wearing those shirts back in the day. But that's what you had to do. That's what you had to do. And even if you have money, don't be stupid with it. Try to be smart with it. Conventions it could add up really quickly if you're irresponsible with it. I'll always look back at BotCon 2010, the Disney year. I probably spent more money on food at the Disney BotCon than I probably ever did on toys at a TFCon. Think about that for a second. I probably spent more on food than I did on toys. That should never happen. That should never happen. And I buy a lot of high-end stuff. It was ridiculous. So you never want to be in a scenario where you're spending stupid money on food, you're spending stupid money on hotel, you're spending stupid money on travel. Try to be frugal in all of those areas if you can. And where could you be stupid? On the toys. Oh, I'm going to get me my Minerva. I'm going to get me that play set. That's where you're going to drop the cool money because that's something where you can't get the money back that you spent on the hotel. You can't get the money back that you invested on the taxi there. You can't get the money back that you invested on the food. You can't get the money back on the entrance to the con or the flight or anything like that. But if ever you want to take that figure and you change your mind for whatever reason, you bought that figure and then you change your mind, you could get the money back on that at least, or make some profit. Who knows? So That's where, if you're going to spend the money, spend it where it makes sense. Always. Always. And don't overpay for your Transformers when it's retail. That's the other thing. T-Formers 2002, the hotel has a shuttle that you could take from Burbank. Yep, that's why. But that's why, like, I'm going to say this again. Don't go to LAX. Go to Burbank. Don't get tricked going to LAX. I know it all sounds like it's in the same area. It is not. There's a big distance. It's been a mistake in the past that people have made. Again, I did it years ago when we didn't have a choice. That's how we learned back then. We're talking like 2009, like almost 20 years ago. So, Burbank Airport, don't forget. And that's it more or less for tonight. We are done for tonight. I have to go out and clean the car actually because we had a snowstorm before. So I'm going to go clean my car because now the snow has kind of died down a little bit in the middle of the night. It's already like 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to have to go clean the car. And then I'm going to just go relax. I'm going to play some Sonic Racing. I'm going to play some Nintendo Switch on other stuff. I'm just going to chill, enjoy the rest of the evening. And we'll get back to our normally scheduled program of Transformer Slag podcast stuff. Again, I apologize. This week was a little empty. Let's just say there was a little Mega Man thing that we all had to keep it on the down low. So take care of yourself, your friends, your families, your loved ones. Enjoy a great time. We'll be back next week with another giveaway for patrons and YouTube members. Again, Anthony Chico, we are sending you number 7, which is the blockies. So please contact me with your contact info so we could send it off to you ASAP so you could get a nice extra Christmas present from the Transformer Slag podcast and Bin Studios. And again, thank you to the sponsors, Symbiote Studios, Plush pins and t-shirts. Get yourself a Slag, get yourself some Plush, get yourself a t-shirt, help support the podcast. Go check out Hasbro Pulse, and more specifically, the Transformers official YouTube channel, and check out the latest episode of Transformers Cyberworld by Ali Lightfoot. And go check out the Toy Armada and get yourself at archermonster.com some beautiful Posca paintings and support that endeavor also from the man who created the toys of your childhood. I'm out of here. Time to roll out. And as always, peace.